We have a massive update regarding William Nylander and the Toronto Maple Leafs as his injury has kind of been revealed and it looks like he could be nearing a return. So this is huge for the Leafs. I'm going to break that down in this episode, as well as the Boston Bruins. They have some more injuries that are piling up for them as well. So there's injuries going on everywhere. We're going to break all that down and much more coming up next. Before we do, quick reminder, hit the subscribe button. We notice about 80% of you who are watching aren't subscribed. So if you haven't hit that button already, make sure to do so. It would mean the world to us if you're excited for the Leafs playoff, hopefully long playoff run. But there is a lot to get into today. We finally got some clarity on William Nylander, and let's just start with this. This morning on First Up, we asked reporter Chris if Leafs Forever fans will see William Nylander tonight, and he said that he'd be surprised if we didn't. And this is the biggest bit of news we've gotten for a while. This is the first time where a reporter, has come out and said that they would be surprised if he doesn't play. We've seen him. He is among the first players on the ice at the Leafs skate. If you watch the clip, or a few clips that are circulating online, he looks like he is in very good spirits. He looks like he's skating very well.
Looks good.
Which leads me to believe that it isn't, and we'll discuss this later, isn't a leg injury or anything that would inhibit his ability to skate, but rather something else, which we'll get into in a little bit. But Darius, it's a good day. Obviously, the Leafs are back home. We saw everyone is excited for today's game, and it looks like Nylander could be returning, and that would really get the arena buzzing tonight.
Yeah, some good news for the Leafs finally. And as we go through the video here, you'll start to piece things together, and I think things are going to start to make sense because as the news was coming out this morning, you start to look at everything, and you're like, all right, now it's starting to make sense. But great news for the Leafs. William Nylander looks like he's going to be back. And they were doing line rushes this morning as well. And he was slotted into the line rushes, which he wasn't the last two games, even though he did go out for morning skate. But he was actually taking line rushes, and he stayed out to do some extra work, probably just to make sure he was feeling good. I think Sheldon Keefe said that he was just going to stay out to see how he was feeling. But it's great. And one other big piece of information, besides Nylander, is that Matthews wasn't at morning skate, but that's just a rest thing. He will play tonight, and it looks like Nylander is most likely going to play. I would say we can basically say most likely at this point that he will play because he was taking line rushes. It's looking good. It looks like he'll make his return.
Yeah, it looks like his return is imminent, whether that's today or the next game. But let's get into some of the stuff you mentioned here now. And one final update, Nylander remains on the ice with the only projected scratches long after the end of the Leafs 10:30 morning skate. He's going through a second round of skill drills with Noah Gregor and Martin Jones. It looks like he'll remain out for Game 3 after all. So there's a lot of weird, conflicting reports. But who really knows at this point? Like, some people think he's going to play. It looks like he will play when everything is said and done. But you have reports like this saying that maybe he'll be out for Game 3 right after this came out, saying that he'd be surprised if we didn't. So, Darius, there's some drama going on here. I don't know if you have any thoughts on this particular part of the report saying it'll look like he'll remain out. Like, this was a more recent one, but as of right now, it looks like they are leaning towards him playing according to the reports. But again, we won't know until probably 30 minutes before the game.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a game time decision. I think he could still possibly not play. I think that's still up in the air, but all signs point toward him is going to play tonight, and I think that's a good thing. And a lot of this was speculation. A lot of these tweets at the time were speculation because they were still on the ice. But Sheldon Keefe came out and said that the fact that he was skating with the extras, which would be a sign that he isn't playing, was just so he could get extra reps in and make sure he is feeling good enough to play. So based on that information, I would say the fact that he was taking line rushes and that he stayed out to make sure he's feeling good, I think he might play. And if he doesn't play tonight just because he doesn't feel
Game 4,
I wouldn't say 100%, but good enough to play, we're going to see him in Game 4. He's really close to returning here. So we could see him tonight. Again, it's up in the air still, game time decision, but all signs point to William Nylander will be back.
Yeah, and now let's look at, like you mentioned, Sheldon Keefe said there's a chance Nylander plays tonight. Will depend on how he responds to the extra work. So there's just a lot of uncertainty here. But looking at the lines, we predicted, you can look at them. They're Bertuzzi, Robertson, Domi, Nyes, Tavares, Marner, Järnkrok, Holmberg, Nylander, Connor Dewar, David Kampf, Ryan Reeves. Noah Gregor is obviously going to be healthy scratched. But Nick Robertson, so there's a lot to go over here, obviously. I'll let you kind of discuss it, but it looks like Nylander, and the fact that this is kind of the lines they're going with, leads everyone to believe that he is playing tonight, and that's obviously what we've been saying. Samsonov does get the start as expected. The defense looks the same. What are your thoughts on these lines here with Bertuzzi, Robertson, and Domi? Obviously, Robertson is replacing Matthews, which means it looks like Robertson is going to be the one who is out like we predicted. And just to be very clear here, Matthews is playing. He will slot in that first line where Robertson is, just to make that clear.
Yeah, there was a lot of confusion this morning based on these lines. What the hell is happening? And Matthews wasn't at morning skate. Now we have some clarity. And usually, for anyone that looks at lines like this and stuff like that, when you're looking at it during the morning skate, when somebody's slotted in somewhere like Robertson is on the first line center, kind of randomly like that, that tells me that he's going to be a scratch tonight because Nylander is skating in a regular position on probably the line he's playing on tonight, which is a pretty good line. I think that might get a goal there for the Leafs tonight. That should be good. But usually that'll tell you that the person who's filling in for somebody who's away that will play, like Robertson is for Matthews, Robertson's going to be the scratch. He's going to be the guy who comes out. So presuming Nylander plays, which all signs, like we've been saying, point to yes, he will play, Robertson's going to be the one coming out, and that's what that looks like there.
Yeah, and some scary for some Leafs fans thinking that Robertson's going to be on the first line with Matthews out. And then, so Nylander's going to slot into that third line most likely. And again, the rest is pretty similar, but this is very encouraging. I'm excited to see William Nylander, and it makes sense that they brought him back at home. But let's get into some of the supposed details that have been revealed. We initially suspected that it could be something non-injury related, like food poisoning or something crazy like that. But now it's looking like it was a head injury. As I mentioned in the Leafs morning take a few moments ago, does believe that William Nylander is dealing with a head injury. This is according to Nick Alberga. And we got the from the People's Phone a few days ago saying that it was an injury sustained in game 82 from a hit. So that would kind of line up with a potential head injury depending on where it is. Concussion maybe seems like a possible option here. If you look at everything lined up, it's starting to be less confusing, and I'm sure this will get revealed, maybe not today, but once he's returned and settled in, I'm sure someone will say what the injury was about. But it seems like the details are that it's a head injury for William Nylander, which, I mean, I guess is good when you're looking at it from a physical perspective, but it probably isn't the best news when you're looking at it from a concussion perspective, and it could be lingering for a while.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? You don't really know. Well, you hear head injury, and immediately, personally, my brain goes to probably concussion. And when you look at the timeline of everything and how confusing this has been, if it is a minor concussion, that makes a lot of sense with the timeline of how everything has been handled and the hush-hushness of everything. The fact that they said he woke up Thursday morning and he was starting to feel it, and everyone's like, how do you just start to feel like a hand injury, let's say, for example? So if it was a concussion, that makes sense. He's starting to feel concussion symptoms and stuff like that. And the fact that they're being careful with him, although I think him skating with a concussion, that's a little weird, but maybe he was just feeling some of those effects and it's not a major thing or anything. So if it is a concussion, and again, that's speculation because what does head injury actually mean? That would make a lot of sense when you look back at the timeline of events. So maybe that is what it is. But again, all speculation at this point still until the Leafs come out and say it. But looks like he's feeling better, which is good.
And it looks like he'll lace up and hopefully play tonight against the Bruins in a game that is going to be much needed win. A huge win tonight if they can get it and get ahead in this series. So that'll wrap it up. Let us know what your thoughts are on all of this. Obviously, a lot of news is coming out. We'll try to cover you with the latest, but we probably won't know now. Won't know much more now until 30 minutes before puck drop. And we should have a stream for you after the game where we can go over everything. But that'll wrap it up. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you later.